The first character of Wuthering Waves version 3.1 has just been announced, and it is going to be Aemeath, the pink-haired girl we have seen in multiple trailers at this point. Ever since I saw her for the first time, I really liked her, so it really got me wondering what she's going to play like, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. Just like always, first I would like to discuss what her weapon type and attribute are going to be. And hopefully I'll be able to break my streak of having incredibly wrong predictions. So first I want to discuss everything we know about Aemeath, which is very little. It's basically just a bunch of stuff that we got from the drip marketing and then things we can imply from her trailers. First of all, she seems to be a digital being, someone no one else can see or is able to perceive, seemingly existing on a different plane of existence than everyone else. But she's still capable of seeing the real world. Even the drip marketing calls her a digital ghost. As for her resonance ability, she summons a mecha scout and merges with it, quote unquote transforming into starlight. So first of all, I want to point out, this mech reminds me of Ureli Prime from Warframe, but that's entirely off topic. So getting back to the point, things that we will be able to look at when determining her attributes are, first of all, the fact that she is a digital ghost, second of all, they mention starlight, and third of all, she uses a mech. So what does this all point to? After looking through the roster, I was able to determine two characters that have some mech-like properties, those being Xiangliao with his prosthetic arm, and Mornia with her prosthetic legs. These are Electro and Fusion characters, so that already narrows my attribute choice down to two. Now which one am I going to choose? While I do believe Electro would make sense, I'm going to go with Fusion here. They specifically mention Starlight, and Kuro Games is full of absolute nerds. So to me, it doesn't seem super far-fetched that Kuro would use the fact that stars fuse lighter elements into heavier ones as a reason to make her a fusion character. When you compare Mornia and Xiangliao, Mornia also has more of a space theming than Xiangliao does, and she's a fusion character. So I'm assuming that when it comes to space, they're trying to stick to fusion. Now okay, what about her weapon type? And I believe that she's most likely going to be a rectifier character. First of all, she summons a mech and then fuses with it. That sounds very alike to a character that we already have in the game, being Frolova, but replace Hecate with this mech, so I think their fighting styles could end up being rather similar. Except instead of commanding the Echo from afar, she will become one entity with it and fight alongside it. Within the singular cutscene that we have of her in the game, she also seems to have these things floating beside her that honestly could just look like a rectifier. But that's a bit more loose because, well, by that logic, Mornia should be a rectifier character. How about the other weapon types though? Which ones could I see her being if she's not a rectifier character? And honestly, I'm gonna be real with you here, I don't think at this point we can eliminate any weapon type. Realistically, any weapon type can be made into some sort of justification for it being the case. Oh, she could be a sword character because the mech will use a sword. Oh, she could be gauntlets because the mech will punch people. Oh, she could be Broadblade because for some reason Mornia's a Broadblade character. She could be a pistol character for crying out loud. She could be absolutely anything, really. I do think Rectifier has the most basis behind it, but at this point, I'm not gonna try to say I'm right with these weapon predictions. I have absolutely no clue at this point, and Kuro can do whatever they feel like. Honestly, at a certain point, I feel like they'll watch my videos and change what the weapon type is to troll me. But, you know what? Not relevant. Moving on. Because now that I've predicted her attribute and weapon type, I want to talk about what I believe her gameplay will be like. Now, first of all, I need to determine what role I think Aemeath is going to be. To be honest, I lost a lot of faith in my logic when Chisa turned out to be a support, when I said that there's no way she is one, but I'm gonna just guess anyway, because then people can make fun of me in my comment section. You're absolutely hilarious, by the way. So let's take the plunge and say she's going to be a main DPS. How about that one, huh? How about that? Aemeath's gonna be a main DPS. Okay, Kuro, now you can do your funny thing and turn her into support. Okay, but whatever. Let's get into it. I think that Aemeath is going to be our first ever Toon Break DPS, because Toon Break is currently a genre filled with supports that does not yet have a DPS to their name. We already have Lene as the sub DPS, and we're going to be getting Mornia as the healer. So what are we still lacking? That's right, we don't have a main DPS. So obviously, I'm assuming that Aemeath is going to be synergizing with the Lene and Mornia core, which I'm just gonna say right now, there's a pretty good chance that Aemeath's baseline numbers are going to be rather low, simply because they somehow have to keep her balanced when she is intended to be used with Lene. Or maybe they could make her stupid broken, that's also another option. And considering how much they're hyping this character up, maybe that is what they end up going for, who knows? Maybe they made Lene this strong on purpose, because then Aemeath could be stupidly overpowered, and they can trigger people's FOMO. But again, that's beside the point. If we're making a character that's going to synergize with Lene, then most likely she's going to have to be a liberation damage dealer, because Lene's Ultra skill gives 15% universal amp and 25% liberation amp. So any character that deals primarily liberation damage is going to be able to benefit more from Lene's buffing. Okay, so we've decided on a damage type and a gimmick. Now, how is she going to use this gimmick? I believe Aemeath will have two modes. Our standard mode, in which she is floating around in the form that we currently know, and then maybe when she activates her Resonance Liberation, she will summon the mech and fuse with it. And then I assume that during this mech stage, she's going to have greatly enhanced properties to shield Toon Break. For example, perhaps Aemeath's attacks during this mech mode will count as both Resonance Liberation as well as Toon Rupture damage, which will make it very easy to shield her, because then you can just make everything buff Toon Rupture and be done with it. Additionally, something else they could do is increase her off-tune application while she is in this mode, so she'll be able to trigger multiple Toon Breaks per rotation. That will also allow her to shield Toon Break quite effectively, as well as getting very good uptime on Mornia's interfered mark, because that's the main thing holding her back in non-Toon Break teams. Something else I expect to be the case when Aemeath is within this mech mode is that she's going to increase her own Toon Break boost quite significantly, maybe by 50 or even 100 points. This will greatly increase the damage she deals with Toon Rupture, and if my theory of her damage counting as Toon Rupture is true, that means that she is going to be greatly increasing her own damage. However, I'm not as sure on this, because the issue is that the more you give yourself of a stat, the less valuable is that your teammates give it to you. For example, Lene gives the team 40 Toon Break boost, and if Aemeath already starts with 100, then the extra 40 is going to be a lot less valuable if she just has less to begin with. So maybe they don't do this after all, because they want Lene to be as powerful for this character as possible. But to be honest, they don't need to try that hard to do it. Lene is already an incredibly powerful character, so realistically, they don't really need to make sure that Lene is her best in slot, because she most likely is going to be anyway, as long as they don't majorly screw it up. Perhaps her giving herself Toon Break boost would allow other teammates to catch up a little bit, making her a lot more versatile in her teammate options than some other popular characters whose sales no doubt suffered because people didn't have these characters' teammates. But that's just my theories on how Aemeath would potentially work. What do you think of Aemeath? Let me know down in the comments below, and while you're down there, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Additionally, if you have any questions, be sure to join my Discord, which is linked in the description down below. If you just want to see more of me, you can check out my second channel, which is also linked down in the description. I don't post often, but when I do, it's kind of just the things I'm passionate about. But that'll be all from me. Peace.